Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini review, and today we are talking about Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. And this is a game that I've talked about already, actually a couple of different times in different ways and different states of how much of the game I played. But this was a game that was my game of the year last year. And I have not completed the campaign yet because I'm actually playing with my occasional regular dungeon crawl group, and we are maybe a third of the way through, something like that. Because we meet monthly if we're lucky, and it's just the way it goes. But since there is a reprint coming, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of make a new video to maybe get eyes back on this for people that maybe missed it, don't know about it, because I just think it's fantastic. It is just a fan-friggin-tastic game, and I really wanted to pull some eyes back to it. So those of you who maybe missed the first time or thinking about the second time can kind of jump in and have a little bit of an understanding of why I like it so much. So what this is it's a dungeon crawl. And you have 6 different characters that you can choose from, and you play a maximum of 4 at a time, and you're playing through a dungeon crawl. And this takes place in the world of the Red Dragon Inn, which is a love it or hate it, very aggressive, intense, take-that card game that has a bunch of very colorful characters that are just a blast. And I've been in love with this world of characters for a long time. In fact, Battle for Greyport is a deck-building game set in the same universe. I really like that one a lot as well. So it's in that universe, which I really enjoy, because it's a very tongue-in-cheek kind of universe. And I think that matters for you to understand, because even the mechanics of the game are created kind of with that tongue-in-cheekness to it. So for example, there isn't really line of sight. As long as there is a path to the thing you're attacking, great, do it. And the argument is, you are a hero. Sure, you bounce your dagger off the floor, it bounces off the wall, and it goes and hits them behind the post. Because that's just how this world is. You are heroes. There's even a card that says, of course lightning goes around corners. Like, all these kinds of things are kind of baked into the game, which makes it very fun and delightful. And so you're going through this game, playing different characters, and you can switch the characters in and out every single game as long as you keep track of the new unlocks. And this is a card and dice driven game. You're going to be drawing initiative tokens from the bag, and either you will come up, in which case you're going to get to take 2 actions and 1 shenanigan. Shenanigans are lesser actions in some ways. They'll often heal or just move you or something like that. And then your actions might be moving or attacking or both or whatever. And you have actions on your player card, but you also have a constantly changing hand of cards in front of you. Each game you're going to pick 4 of those, and as you play through the game, more and more and more of these cards kind of get unlocked, and you're going to have access to them. So every game you're going to have to make a choice as to which of your cards you want to use. Same thing with which items you're going to take. There's 2 types of items. There's small items and bigger items. You can get 1 of each. And as you play through the game, more and more and more of these things get unlocked. And again, you're going to have to choose which ones you're going to use. So as you go through the game, you're progressively getting stronger and stronger. And the bad guys also progressively get stronger and stronger as well. But all of the combat is done via dice. There are 2 types of dice. There's the regular yellow dice, which you're going to roll for your attack. And you will always do something. Period. You always do at least 1 damage. Sometimes you get an exploding crit and you do more damage. Sometimes you do 2 damage. And sometimes you have the ability to unlock these epic dice. And epic dice are very strong. They do upwards of 3 damage on each one. And every time you roll your yellow dice and you wind up getting the little exclamation symbol, as long as you have more exclamations than you have epic dice in your pool already, you get to add another one. Anybody can use them whenever they want. So it's a little bit of a party resource you kind of have to decide on. But you can do a lot of damage with them, or you can throw them away to defend yourself and prevent yourself from taking damage. Because like in Battle for Greyport, there's not a ton of healing. There are some characters that can do some healing, but all these healing powers, they run out. Yes, you have potions, but they run out. And that's kind of part of the economy of the game, because your actions are either going to have charges, where you have X amount you can use for the entire game, or they recharge. You use them, but you're going to have them on cooldown for a couple of turns. And so there's kind of this balance that you have kind of going back and forth, deciding, oh, do I want to use the dice to try to do more damage? Do I need to defend myself? Because if any of your characters gets defeated, you've lost the mission, you have to start over. I'll also say there's an interesting mechanic that comes with it of when you lose all your hit points, you're not dead, you are wounded, and you flip your player card over, and you have a slightly different board on the back, and you always have some kind of thing that you do immediately. So Fiona gets a whole bunch of armor. Gurky suddenly unlocks the ability to poison people on every single hit that he does. Zot the wizard can no longer teleport, and he just kind of limps along, whereas before he just kind of teleports all over the place. So all of that, you're playing through this kind of epic game with great story as you're going through. Truly, truly great story. So now I guess I'm getting into what do I like about this game. Start out the story. This has a story that is top tier. Period. I put this up there with Oathsworn, Familiar Tales, Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. Those are the top dungeon crawl stories I have ever played. Next tier is Madara. I really like the Madara story as well, and then other stuff cycles down and fills in below that. The story is fantastic. It's amazing. So likewise is the art. I love this art. It's very cartoony, it's very whimsical, it's very fun, and it fits the world perfectly. I just adore it. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Next thing I'm going to say is all of the characters are very distinct. They all play very differently and very true to the character decks that you have if you've ever played Red Dragon Inn. And because of that, they're all very distinct in how they work. So Gog, the big ogre, has this amazing ability. So Gog says, hello! And it has him like doing a stage dive, and he moves across the board and he slams everything around him. While Gurky, on the other hand, is running around and backstabbing and poisoning, while Zot is teleporting around and has Pookie, his rabbit familiar, running around and biting things at the same time. Very distinct, very clever, and all 6 of them play very differently. Next thing I'll say is for a dungeon crawl, it's a very fast setup and a relatively quick tear down. It takes a little longer to tear it down than it does to set it up, but once you have stuff bagged, it's really fast. Very fast and very easy to set up. Next thing I'll say is, for a dungeon crawl of this size, it's a pretty small box. And it's not a small box, but it is smaller than Madara, it's smaller than Oathsworn, it's way smaller than Arena of the Contest, all these things. So it's a relatively small box for what it is that you're getting. And they do that because all the bad guys, they're standees. Kind of like Gloomhaven originally did, but the art's way better in this. And also, all of the maps that you fight on, they're just on huge pieces of paper. And they're double-sided, and you just lay it out, boom, there it is, and you know what you're doing. And also, you repeat in each chapter. There's some bad guys, they come back, except they have different AIs every single map because it's right there printed on the map. So there's no looking through, digging up cards. Very quick. Very easy, very clever, and every time you play, that AI is significantly different, which makes it really interesting to play. And along with that, at the beginning of every round, you roll these scheme dice, and you know what the bad guys are going to do. You don't know when they're going to go, but you know what they're going to do, so you're able to plan accordingly. And it kind of gives a little bit of a Euro flavor to what is very much an Amera-style dice-chucking romp. And I think because of that, I really think that this game is far more tactical than you think it's going to be. You look at the art style, you look at some of the crazy stuff that's going on, you look at all this dice chucking, you think, oh, it's a dice chucker, roll good dice, and I'll be fine, but it's really not. There's a lot of tactics going on in this game. There's a lot of positioning you're trying to figure out. There's a lot of, oh, if I get myself right here, but in the previous turn, I put down this trap here, so if I put down this trap here and I move to here, that means the bad guy has to come through this alley, which means now God can go up and literally pick him up and drop on the trap. There's all these tactics that you can do and you can play with that is very satisfying, and I think is part of this game's real charm. And last thing that I'm going to say with this, I think it plays great at all player counts. This is one of the few dungeon crawls that I have played that I like playing it solo. I like playing it at 2. I like playing it at 3. In fact, the video that's played for some of this was a 3-player game, and right now I'm playing it with 4, and I've had a great time at all of those player counts. And even at 4, there's actually not a ton of downtime, which, I mean, there's some, because he's playing with 4 players, but there's just not a ton of downtime, and it just works really well. So what are my quibbles with the game? First off, there are things that you should be aware of. One, I've mentioned it's a very light storyline. It's very fun. It's very whimsical. It's not dark. But more importantly, the only real substantive thing that I'm going to toss out here is this is one of the few modern dungeon crawls that is not a fail forward. If you lose, you do the fight again. And that's just the way that it goes. There is no, oh, like I think about in Madara, you lose one and suddenly it shunts you off into a different mission. There is none of that. It's you win or you repeat. And that's the way that goes. Along with that, even though I think that there is good replay here, because in fact I've played through chapter 1 of this game 3 times and had a blast every single time I did it, it is a linear story. It is scenarios 1 through 24, 1 through 25 or 20, whatever it is, straight through. That's what it's going to be every single time. Next thing I'll say is, and this is one that is only going to come up, I think, if you play it through a lot. And though I like these big maps that you put out, they have a big crease down the middle. And that can maybe be a little bit annoying when you're kind of playing through and you have this little bump there sometimes. But it might start to wear through. Now, it hasn't happened to me. And I feel like I'd have to play this through many, many times for that to happen. However, I have heard other people talk about it and mention that, oh, that's a bummer. The quibbliest of quibbles here, I think. But I want to really make sure that you have all the information I can possibly give you. And last thing I'll say is, as someone who truly enjoys Red Dragon Inn as just a take-that card game, there are so many wonderful characters that are just brilliant. Just delightful. And you get to play some of them in Battle for Greyport. I want more. I want more of the characters. I want more stories. I don't need new standees for bad guys. Use the same bad guys we have. Oh my gosh, I would buy in a second another character pack and like a couple maps with new scenarios or whatever. It's just, there's a lot of opportunity here for this game to kind of become a huge, huge thing. But there you have it, folks. That is Tales from the Red Dragon, and really, I love this game, and that has not changed as I've played further than I ever did before. I still love this game. This is a game that wound up at the top of my revised dungeon crawler list, and if I had to remake that list again right now, it would still be there. It just is getting better and better and better as we go through, and different types of scenarios are being unlocked. It's not just kill everything. Some of them are kind of timed. Some of them are moving things around. It's just fantastic. Just wonderful. I adore it. And if you like a somewhat lighter dungeon crawl, then you are making a mistake if you don't have this one on your shelf. It is that good. So, there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.